Welcome to Acharya Shunya's Global Satsang. Acharya Shunya is a modern teacher of non-dual Advaita Vedanta philosophy from the Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, the lived practices of Vedic yoga, and the transformative knowledge of Ayurveda lifestyle wisdom. Her teaching changes lives, enabling happiness, well-being, and spiritual abundance. For seekers of the ultimate truth, these teachings awaken consciousness and assist realization of the sovereign self. Acharya Shunya is a Vedic wisdom holder of an ancient lineage. She received traditional training under her guru, Baba Ayodhya Nath, in Ayodhya, India. Baba tasked Acharya Shunya to bring these teachings to the modern world. As a teacher who has walked this Vedic path from darkness to light, from emotional bondage to spiritual freedom, Acharya Shunya is uniquely able to dynamically communicate these ancient subtle teachings to modern students. We welcome you to begin your journey of Vedic studentship with these monthly classes. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and Vedic Contemplations Facebook group for ongoing study with Acharya Shunya.
Welcome to my global satsang, and I want to have some significant dialogue with you today. So let's begin. The purpose of plant life is to somehow survive, thrive despite the onslaught of seasons. The purpose of animal life is not only to thrive, but also to play, to also have meaningful beginning of family life, the joy of parenting at a rudimentary but passionate level, and lots of playtime when the tummy is full. Lots of sexual love talk and playing with each other. If you've seen animals when they think they are just by themselves, first they hunt for food, survival, and then they play. But there is one very special animal, a living being called the human. And the human's purpose is not only to survive, which is important, and thrive during that survival, not only to play, but play with abandon and at the same time some responsibility, because we are a self-aware animal and we feel the pain of another. But ultimately, the purpose of the human journey is to discover our highest purpose. It's like, is our purpose to merely survive? Is our purpose to play when our tummy is full and we have money in the bank? Or is there something more? And what we don't imagine for a long time is still waiting for us. So we think that our life, our imagination is full of quest for survival, like we imagine a time when our survival needs have turned into thrival. I have money, I have a big house, I have classy cars, I have dependable friends and relationships. So that occupies the imagination of a lot of human beings. And then playtime too. I want to travel to all parts of the world. I want to have out-of-the-box sex. I want to wear designer clothes. I want to have scents and perfumes on my dresser, bags with tags. And, the play is not just recreation or sports, but it's also just sexual. It's entertainment, it's music, it's art, it's shopping, it's anything that is a little beyond survival. But clearly, these two purposes are not enough for the human being, because we still get beset with fear. We still get beset with not enoughness. We still get beset with doubt, and we still feel incomplete, and we still feel broken, even if we aspire for and meet our survival and pleasure indexes or goals or checklists. Then in this satsang, I want to talk about a goal that is less talked about, but I believe I'm going to begin that conversation on this planet. And it's about the life purpose of reclaiming our sovereign self. Vedas are the oldest body of wisdom coming out of India. In fact, it is the body of wisdom that has given birth to yoga and Ayurveda. And the Vedas say that sovereignty is our truest essence, and therefore the purpose of our life should be to rediscover this sovereignty, to reconnect with it, and once reclaimed, go back to the world and live like a sovereign being. Sure, attending to survival needs or enjoying pleasure that this world offers in ample, but never being bogged down because of it. And this conversation was had by the Vedas almost, let's say, 10,000 years ago. And it is these Vedas that have given to the world the teachings of yoga. And yoga literally means union with a higher truth. And in this case, this is union with your sovereign truth, your ability to be sovereign. And let's discuss what that means. So yoga can be of many kinds. There is the yoga of knowledge. Who are you? Are you someone who has to forever forage for survival needs and not feel happy when your pleasure needs are not met? Or are you someone who is sovereign and okay no matter what happens? So this is the yoga of knowledge. Then there is yoga of upasana, or the yoga of spiritual disciplines, which includes meditation, pranayama, breathing, and postures, and speech disciplines. There is karma yoga, the yoga of right action. There is bhakti yoga, which is the teachings on how to experience devotion for that divinity which dwells outside you, everywhere, and finally inside you as something deeply powerful and sovereign. So all these yogas are inadvertently, in different ways, trying to give you the core message of what? They are giving you the core message once again that, oh human, don't lament, don't be afraid, don't get caught up with fear, turn inwards and spend a little time every day discovering something invincible and sovereign within you, because once you do that, you can have the same life but a much easier experience. Because though when we go out searching for survival and pleasure, which all human beings must, if we don't get what we need, the mind tends to worry, fall apart, think of doomsday scenario, feels unlucky, runs to priest, astrologer, counselor, and maybe even medicates itself, or falls terribly sick, even dies. But if the same mind had some knowledge of the sovereign self deep inside you, the sovereign self remains in a state of fullness, completion, whether the outer ducks line up or not. So that's something. So the sovereign self, your deepest part of you, is experiencing an okayness, even if your mind is experiencing an okayness. So that's something, and we'll come back to what that means. Not only in the search of pleasure and recreation, but even when our senses go foraging in the world and they may land on things that they want. That could be human things, as in wanting a relationship or wanting a sexual fulfillment, or a material thing, such as wanting to own a certain sofa or a house or a car and not being able to afford it. Either which way, when the senses get all caught up and distressed and all they can think about and dream about is what they see, what they hear, what they smell, what they touch, there is a sovereign part of you that is almost in its own music, its own completion, its own fullness, without needing an addition of these material sensory inputs or its subtraction. It is in itself self-pleased. An ice cream is welcome, but if it's not there, the self is still happy. A lover is welcome, but if the lover is absent, the self is still happy. That's interesting, isn't it? Because most of the time, our sense of happiness or sorrow is so wound up with our objects, our living objects and our non-living objects. Do we have them? Do we not have them? Is it a struggle to achieve them? If we've achieved them, do we fear of losing them? And if we've lost them, are we scheming to get them back? And if we have been scheming to get them back, are we losing our sleep over that? So all this politics of objects, keeping our living objects in a harmony with us and keeping our non-living objects in the right situation with us, takes a lot of toll from us. But how wonderful if we discovered something sovereign within us so that we could enjoy our relationships and enjoy our things, our cars, our possessions, our jewels, but not lose our sleep over it. To be mildly bemused when people come and go, when people pledge great loyalty but then leave from the back door because they didn't know what that meant. Could we find something that's okay despite radical unokayness? Now that's what I call spirituality. And that is why I feel that I want to talk about how to be sovereign, how to act from this sovereign selfhood, how to engage in relationships, how to enjoy the pleasures of life. Nothing is off the table. To be sovereign, we don't have to be monastic or celibate or vegan or vegetarian or wear certain clothes or not enjoy a normal life with normal desires, but yet we can do this from a more empowered place. And that is what I call living in this world, but not being colored by this world, not being stained by this world, not being burdened by this world, and definitely not being disempowered, limited, minimized, made invisible, and shamed by this world. Why? Because we have access to something that belongs only to you. And actually that beautiful sovereign self, according to the Vedas, which have given the world yoga, is a gift to every living being, from that little firefly to the great human being, except that because we are self-aware, self-cognizant, self-questioning, we can, with the aid of knowledge provided to us by loving teachers who have themselves found it and then they care to share it with us, we can walk that time-tested path that has been in place for 10,000 years. That's why India is the place of self-realization, self-actualization, and inner joy and inner bliss. It's a teacher to the whole world because this knowledge was discovered there, and we are grateful to those ancient seers, men and women, who discovered, wait a minute, the world is fantastic. It's a Disneyland of joys and sorrows, but there is something that is invincible, powerful, and originally joyful. And if I touch that, and then I'm with that, with the world, then I'm with the people in my life, then I'm with the gains in my life, and then I'm with the losses in my life, the whole story changes. It's a game changer to know your sovereign self and act as a sovereign being. I too was once only intellectually aware of my sovereign self. This was many, many decades ago. And I fell in bondage of the very people I loved and the very things I craved and enjoyed possessing. And I too went through a period of becoming disempowered because then others and what it takes to afford those things had a greater power over me. But fortunately, the knowledge given to me by my guru and my lineage, of which I'm a proud leader today, the first feminine leader in the 2000 years that my lineage has been in existence on this planet, showing people way back to their sovereignty. I too was not left out of this gift giving and receiving. And the knowledge I received growing up in my home in Ayodhya at the feet of my great teacher, Baba Ayodhyanath, literally became a boat in which I sailed home. And now I have everything. I have the world, but I have not lost me in the process of having the world. I have me. The world can go and the world can come, but what cannot be taken away from me is me. And that me is the big me, not the small me that is screaming and clutching and grasping, but the relaxed me, the amused me, the me that's connected with the sun, moon, and the universe, the me that has a divine connection with the allness of this universe. When I come back, I'll keep talking to you about the sovereign self. If you are enjoying beginning to listen about even the possibility of being sovereign, then write to me a yes. I love hearing your remarks. I could have called it the invincible self. I could have called it the powerful self. I could have called my teachings the joyful self, but I like to call it sovereignty. And I'll explain why. Because sovereignhood includes original joy, original creativity, soul power, and the ability to be not only spiritually, but materially successful too. Sovereignty deals with freedom. Sovereignty deals with an expansiveness and a royalty that we human beings have come to unearth as our life purpose. We have not just come here to survive and spend the rest of the time when we are not surviving in mindless entertainment or play or sex. We have come here to discover who we are. And if you follow the path of the Vedas and yoga, you shall be amazed at who you are, what you're capable of, and what peace has been promised to you, what wholeness, what health, what wonderment. And even if a percent of it becomes a part of your living reality, your reality changes. You don't have to do too much. You just have to allow what's already there to emerge. Let me take a short break and I'll be back. Imagine if you're sitting in a darkened room. There are no windows and there is no internet connection, no Wi-Fi. There's just you and the dark room. and you're groping around in the dark to say, that's a cup, this is a table, this is a pencil, and you are making assumptions about your reality, and you're walking very cautiously because you don't want things to poke you and hurt you or for you to fall. And that makes sense when that's the state of the mind. When the state of the mind is full of ignorance, caution is the best teaching that you can get. Be careful out there. Someone's gonna get ya. Watch it. Don't hold your heart on your sleeve, because that's how most of us live. We may live in huge mansions with big windows, but the windows of our mind are sealed shut. And all we have is our past, our traumas maybe, our biases, and hand-me-down beliefs from our culture, religion, society, family secrets. That's what is in that dark room. And that's what we are dealing with. And in such a situation, it's really hard to give solace. But imagine if there was someone who started talking to you. So you can't see, but you can hear. And that's why the whole Veda is a spoken tradition. But they spoke to you as you are listening to me now. And somebody somehow cracked, because of that knowledge, a window cracked into that room, and suddenly there was light. And now this is the second stage where you can say, oh, that was not a monster. That was a table. That was not a bigot. That's just a person who's wearing a different colored skin but has the same heart and feelings as mine. Oh, I see. Nobody's out to get me. I'm not a victim. I'm dealing with persecution complex because some uncaring people raised me, but that's not the reality for every human being. Not everybody's out to get me. So we start having these aha moments, and that's the benefit, for example, of counseling or psychology. But the knowledge of sovereign self, or the knowledge that comes from the Vedas, which teach all the yogic wisdom of coming into union with something sovereign within you, acts very differently. What it does is imagine that, sure, you're not in a dark room anymore, and even if you have a window, you have some light, but still your view of the world and reality is still limited to that window. But the way the knowledge of the sovereign self works is, it's as if a light was switched on inside you. And that light was so powerful because it is so divine that the room, whether it has a window or not, whether it is east facing or west facing, north or south, in northern or southern hemisphere, good or bad neighborhood, does not matter. When that light gets switched on within you, it's as if there is no room anymore. And you are not only having a full 360-degree vision of the whole world, but then as you continue listening, reading, and trying to live according to the teachings which remind you of your sovereign nature, it's almost like you get lifted. And you get lifted almost like you've had an out-of-body experience. For lack of better words, that's what I would say. And you get to see yourself playing a role. And you get to see how you can use the teachings of Dharma from the Vedas and the yoga tradition, or how to engage with everybody else in such a way that you're successful and you become valuable to the whole world. So it's almost like you learn so much more when you have the light switched on in you. It's your original light. It is the light of wisdom. It is not the light borrowed from a bulb. It's not the light borrowed from anything. Just like moon has light, sure, but it's borrowed from the sun. And that's why it goes through so many changes. The moon is moody. The moon cannot be seen on many days. But the sun, nothing can block it. Not even the darkest cloud has any power to really block it. Even the darkest night is only a transient phenomena, because light is the truth, and the sun has its original light, an original light that is lighting up galaxy. And according to the Vedas, it is lighting up this universe, it is lighting up another universe which you cannot see, and it is lighting up the entire universe, your known universe. So there are within galaxy and galaxy and galaxy suns which have original light, and then there are moons and earths and planets and even black stars which have no light. What do you want to be? So the sovereign self is an invitation given by the seers and repeated by representatives of those Vedic seers in the modern era, people like me, because I'm a representative of one such lineage, to say to you, are you done? Either blaming yourself or blaming someone else? And are you ready now to do some fact checking, which means opening the window, and then using dharmic thoughts to calm everything around you, no more drama, so that it distracts you constantly. And then think a couple of sovereignty revealing thoughts. That's right, revealing thoughts. What's already inside you does not need a geographical or archaeological expedition to be dug out. That's the good news. The sovereign self is your reality, your power, your creativity, your joy, your compassion, your magnanimoushood, your truth, your sparkle, your radiance, your light is waiting inside you for you to look inwards. But you can look inwards all you want, and all you'll find is a couple of angry feelings, some resentment, some heartache, and some heartburn. So that discovery requires a few tools, which is the tool is known as yoga. It requires the words of a teacher. It requires saying, look here, not here. This is pretending to be the self. This is the self. In this situation where somebody is confronting you, this is how you act. So you're done with those kind of thoughts, and now this is what you think. So the more you start following a conducted, experiential, personalized journey, very soon you land upon that treasure that was always buried under your own home. You were walking around on it, trying to find a minimal wage job. That's how our life is. We have treasure buried under our own home, and we are fighting for a $3 wage. We are paupers until we discover this in us. And this treasure within us can be discovered through a certain discipline of thinking, a discipline of meditating, a discipline of contemplating. And the word discipline we modern people don't like. But if you want to do anything, you want to lose weight, you go on a discipline. You want to gain weight, you go on a discipline. So a discipline is a voluntary, chosen set of practices. But the beauty of my teaching is, or the teaching of Jnana Yoga, or the path of knowledge, is that it does not require any discipline except the willingness to fall in love with your sovereign self by hearing about it. So its number one discipline is keep hearing about it. And you can keep coming back to my classes and courses where I talk about it. Its number two discipline is to read about it, to write about it in journaling sense, so you can contemplate upon it, which I have already paved the way for you by writing my latest book, Sovereign Self, and creating certain courses and things in which you can always begin to journal and contemplate upon it. So you hear it, You contemplate it, or you contemplate it first and hear it later. Nowadays, anything works as long as you're engaged with it. And finally, you start acting from that. So your identity gets slightly shifted from being a shadowy I, which is constantly looking for survival and pleasure. It needs the next high and the next reassurance and the next drug of being loved, liked, or lusted for to feel okay, to being the larger I, the comfortable I, the stately I, the I that attracts others rather than running after others, the I that is magnetic, the I that seems to find solutions amidst conflicts rather than creating conflict. So when you start acting from that I, again, based upon time-tested knowledge, you shall see that you live in the same house with the same family, the same characters, the same set of situations and circumstances, and yet your responses are different, your feelings are different, your emotions are different, and your impact on others is different. You become a gift to your family, community, and the world. You've become, instead of a light-sucking entity, you've become a light-giving entity in this universe. And when you join the universe in nurturing others, it's as if you activate a hidden code in the universe. This one is no longer a liability. This one has joined us in nurturing the whole universe, because there is one power that's nurturing all of us. And so you start getting taken care of. So all kinds of laws of giving first and therefore receiving, all of this begin operating without you having to take a course to activate it, without you having to necessarily chant till the cows come home to activate it, without you having to stand on your head with your legs up to activate it, without you having to freeze in the Himalayas to activate it, simply by reclaiming what was already your birthright, your sovereignty, your empowered soulhood, your deep inner voice, your composure and your dignity, and your truth that you are one with this whole universe. You are not separate. You become a much more magnified, majestic, and valuable being on this planet. You don't have to push too hard to switch on lights and somehow carve a window in your house. You can live in the most dark and dismal relationships and circumstances or planetary situations and yet be okay. Nothing is okay. I'm okay. This is not selfishness, because only one who is truly okay can come back and give a helping hand. But if you're also panicking when everything else is falling apart, what help can you give? So the path to inner sovereignty is the path to ultimate selflessness, the path to ultimate evolution. And I think humanity as a whole requires a step up from victimhood to sovereignty. And when I come back, I want to talk about that. I want to talk to you about beliefs at this point. From the very beginning, we get hand-me-down beliefs. We get beliefs of what a certain gender can do or not do. We get beliefs that to have this gender over that gender is better. We get beliefs that gender fluidity is not okay, which is very strange. We get beliefs around color, religion, culture. And then these beliefs become very personalized. We forget where they came from. But they become like a set of what can we do and what cannot we do. So very early on, even in our early teens, we have already decided the course of our life. These beliefs ultimately land up in two kinds of beliefs: a no belief and a yes belief, an accelerator belief and a brake belief. So the beliefs that act like brakes keep us back from achieving our highest purpose, our greatest success vibration, and true peace and true originality. It totally holds us back. It says things like, that's not okay for moms to do, or that's all right for white people to do that, but remember, Shunya, you're not a white person, so you can't do that. Or that's okay for a black person to do, but not for a brown person. Or that's okay for a brown Hindus can wear that, but not Muslims. Muslims can do that, but not Christians. So we have these like beliefs that act like brakes. And when they act like brakes, we live in a very small prison of what's possible. And what's possible is, again, approved by, if you look at it, your society, by someone else. Someone else. Because we're not even there. We're not in a sovereign state of really coming up with what's a yes and what's a no from a responsible place of, yes, I will not, drink myself to death because this body is a gift from the universe, and everything in the universe, animals and plants that live in wild, they all try to be their best, and so should I be. So that's an internal belief, to look after yourself, to value yourself. But most of the time, we resonate the values and beliefs of our caregivers. And God forbid, if our caregivers had caregivers who are not sovereign, but disempowered, in bondage of life circumstances, suffering, depressed, self-pitying, or hating others, then that is the legacy we have inherited, believe it or not. We don't receive just milk from our mother and care from our father. We receive the collective suffocation of them and their kind in our crib. We receive the abandonment that they have done for themselves and to others in our crib. We receive the clamoring possessiveness that they have experienced in our crib. And so we think we're leading freeing lives, but really we are like puppets, and these beliefs are like, no. You're going beyond your capacity. Yes. This is how you should behave. Then you'll be rewarded. Then you'll be approved. Then you'll be safe. Survival. And if you can survive enough, maybe you can buy a Lexus, and maybe you can have a house in a nice neighborhood, and then you die. And then you're born again, and then it begins again. This is called samsara, the prison of birth and death. And there is another samsara that is born in each one of our minds due to these beliefs. Yes, belief. So we move forward, then we stop, then we move forward, then we stop, then we move forward, then we stop. And ultimately, we just go round and round in circles. And samsara comes from an understanding of something that relentlessly moves in circles. So it's like it capsizes our boat. Our dreams get extinguished. Our voice gets muffled. And our spiritual divine truth becomes lost. But what if I introduced you to the ultimate belief that you are a sovereign being, and that Shanti or peace is your original nature? You're not dependent on whether it's peaceful outside you or not. Expansiveness or boundlessness is your original nature. And therefore, any limitations that you meet in your profession, in your family, and even in your health situation, you can find something expansive in that situation. You can reinvent a whole new you because of your limitless capacity. Your infinitehood can break through any finite circumstances internally. You shall not be capsized or imprisoned as long as you remember who you are. So there are other kinds of beliefs. The beliefs that the Upanishads or the great Vedic texts want to give you. These are the beliefs about your true self, known as Atma in Sanskrit, which comes from literally that which is unbounded within you always, no matter how bounded you are in a difficult relationship, a bad guru who got you, a disease that has you in a wheelchair, financial situation that has you strapped. But if you believe in that, if you believe in the no, no, no beliefs and the yes, yes, yes beliefs given to you by society, the no and yes beliefs, the good and bad beliefs, the light and dark beliefs, the appropriate and inappropriate beliefs, then that's the sum of your life. And each one of our obituaries should be, this one came, lived a life of hand-me-down beliefs and left. Shall be back soon. Round 2, round 3, round 4. But if we take the path given to us out of the love, not for money, not for name and fame, by anonymous Vedic sages who showed the way back to a quiet, inward, meditative, contemplative, and poised state, not the whole day, few minutes a day, and to remember in the back of our mind this one belief that I am unbounded, I am infinite, I have no obligations to anyone. All these relatives belong to the body. I am free. I'm eternally healthy inwardly and peaceful and joyful. And I can experience compassion because I know that the same self dwells in all as the inward life force. Then what happens is, this is not a belief, because this is where belief meets truth. So we begin with the knowledge of self as a belief for beginners, but then they recognize that it is their truth. How do you know a belief is your truth? And how do you know a belief is a hand-me-down belief to keep you in a prison? How? You should ask me that. I share those kind of things in my book. Very deep book, but a very timely book for modern people. Because more so than ever, due to misinformation, due to media, due to the loss of reverence in masters and deeper contemplations, due to drive-through spirituality and quick fix yoga, we have lost every avenue of touching something true, deeper, magnificent, and significant within us. No one talks about dharma. Everyone talks about some kind of an individualistic nirvana. It is a permissive self-indulgence that has become spirituality today. Not a look around to say, you know what? Is this the ultimate reality? Do I really need to be that person in the world to be poised and peaceful and full within? So I bring back to the modern world teachings of the ancient world, but more relevant than ever, because the sovereign self is the truth, not just a belief. And I'll tell you how. The sovereign self, according to the Vedas, is original peace. Now, you know it's not a belief because when your peace gets taken away, you crave it, you miss it. Nobody says, gosh, I'm really wishing I had some loss of peace in my life. Nobody. Everybody, even the most clueless person, is ultimately seeking peace. Even the robber who goes and robs a bank is hoping that when they've robbed the bank, they'll finally be peaceful. Everybody wants peace in a crazy way or in an authentic way. Peace they want because peace is your essence. And there's a whole teaching on how to live, act, speak, meditate, and rethink your attitudes so that you can re-own your peace. Simple as that. Don't fight for it. Don't negotiate for it. Don't sell it away cheap. Enjoy it. Regale in it. It's your peace. Peace is the truth, and it is inside you. And imagine if each one of us had this conviction that peace is important. What would that happen for the world, for the nations that are warring, for communities that are warring, for politicians that stir up war and conflict? More and more people need to know this simple, systematic path back to discovering your inner peace. Similarly, light, the light of knowledge, knowingness, knowing your way forward, the next 5 steps, future or a whole lifetime or your cosmic journey across lifetimes, you want to know. You want the lights on within you. You don't want to be in the darkness. And because you feel you deserve to know, because that's your nature. And in the absence of it, we run from pillar to post. That's why the businesses of astrologers and ball gazers is going up. People call destiny 911. Or was it 811 or 900? 900, not 911. Although it feels like 911, right? I gotta know. I gotta know what's happening with me. I gotta know why I'm here, why I've manifested in this story, what's happening, what's gonna happen next. So if you want to come into this knowingness, come back to the original intelligence of this whole universe within you. And yes, I managed to write that all down. It took me 3 years, and it took me 50 years to live that, and 3 years to write that. It didn't happen right away, but it happened in my life. It has happened in my students' lives. It's going to happen in your life. The Vedas say this is not a destiny that belongs to exclusive few who wear holy clothes and dreadlocks or holy tattoos on their body. For each one of you, moms, dad, bankers, lawyers, ballerina, whatever be your profession of choice or of circumstance, you can be sovereign there. Peace, light, knowledge, compassion. When we cut off that compassion and we become grossly selfish and we refuse to feel the pain of another, we become narcissistic, and we have evidence of that kind of narcissism at our political stage right now, where millions can die, but we feel only sorry for ourselves. So when that compassion goes away, we don't remain normal. It is with compassion when we feel the pain of another, little fly that is struggling for life or another human being. That is where we feel connected and in harmony with the throbbing pulse of the self that dwells in all beings, because the Vedas say this sovereign essence is the truth of every being. When we look in the eyes of a lost animal in an SPCA that's about to be put to death, or it's looking fragile or weak, we look in the eyes and we feel this compassion. And that compassion is really another form of love, care, affection. And when we cut ourselves from that source, we may be powerful on a political ladder, or we may have money, but we're empty. We become dehumanized. We become estranged from our own life essence. We can't sleep. And we are so afraid we can't stop being who we are because now we've lost touch with anything more profound inside us until we collapse. And in the process, we've hurt the whole planet. And then the Vedas talk about karma and all those things, which I'm not going into right now. There's always room to come back. Even the most sinister criminal is ultimately only estranged from their self. But what I want to tell you is the self, with all its peace, its radiance, its knowledge, and power, is not a belief, but your truth. It is the most empowered state of being within you, and it's not an occasional power. It's not the kind of power that needs to feel powerful over another. It doesn't need to win every argument, have the last word, walk away with an attitude, and let the people show off and let people know it has power. It is the power that respects itself and can respect another. It is power that protects you and can protect another. It is power that can make things happen, change the destiny of yourself and your planet without needing to get all wrangled up in power conflicts and power tussles. And nobody likes to be disempowered. Have you ever enjoyed that? Gosh, I love those friends of mine because whenever I have lunch with them, gosh, they make me feel so small and so disempowered and so invisible that I just can't wait to have lunch with them again. Have you ever heard that? No. And the reason for that is that power is our truth. And that's why in my book, Sovereign Self, in my teachings, and in the Vedas itself, though it's, the knowledge is spread out, so I've kind of brought it together, I am reintroducing, and I will continue reintroducing humanity to their truth beyond beliefs. You can say, who knows, self cannot be seen. There's no clinical evidence, so we don't know if there is a self. Okay. But then with each page, you shall know that I'm being introduced to me. This is so calming and so satisfying that I can finally be unapologetic about my desire to be empowered, to have peace, to deserve respect, to give and receive love, to say no if I have to or say yes, but to be a truth teller, a compulsive truth teller, and to rejoice and have much more autonomy and control, but not that grippy kind of control, but a ease and mastery over my life, my relationships, the money in my bank, the fun I have with my lover in my bed. You can have it all, but you can do it in bondage and fear and grasping and greedy manner, or you can do it in a sovereign way. And when you are sovereign, all your relationships change. Space enters your life and your heart. People see you for who you are and they thank you. They may not know you. You may just be sitting in a garden bench and somebody may come up and say, you're radiating peace. It has happened to me. It didn't always happen. But once I connected with my sovereign self, it does. So I bring you teachings from very ancient times that never fell away from practice. They have been secret for a long time. They got hidden for a long time because they were difficult to translate or transcribe and communicate. It took what it took to write the sovereign self, but from now until the end of my adventure in this body, I shall keep bringing to humanity the message of their true life purpose, which is to discover their inner sovereignty, and I welcome you too. If you've been writing yes, and if you're excited, I believe that you may not only benefit from being sovereign, but also joining me in helping spread this light, spread this message, and becoming an ambassador for my sovereignty teachings. So I thank you for that. I bless you for that. Every time you share your heart, your words, and your experience with my teachings, which more and more of you are doing every day, what it does is it's beyond my personality, which does not need your words. I have come to my own truth in the privacy of my life, and now I share it. I'm not sharing it to find my sovereignty. I share what I share from my sovereignty. But every time you share in my Vedic Contemplations group in Facebook, or wherever my team posts things for me, I find that it helps others. It makes people realize that there is another way, a much more peaceful, dignified, light-filled, held, supported by the universe way. It is a tried and tested way. It is not a way that has quick gains, but it has lasting gains. And it leads to transformation within days of reading it. Not the kind where you imagine yourself in some kind of a bubble where you've bypassed your emotions or your feelings or your thoughts and created some strange version of yourself, but a very real transformation of your ego in helping it accept its own greatness. So with that, I'd like to end my satsang today. My last words are that I'm a modern teacher of an ancient wisdom. I'm a mother, a wife, and a teacher to students across the globe. I don't just teach to people who believe in the Vedas. I teach to Christians, Hindus, Muslims, Jews, Sufis, Sikhs, Jains, Buddhists, atheists, and even agnostics. Because my teaching of the sovereign self has nothing to do with religion, it has everything to do with your spirit. I hope you shall be blessed in finding your inner treasure. Many, many blessings. And write me your comments. Share with the world what you feel after you've read these teachings. May you transform and may your light spread across the world. Then you would be leading your life purpose. Jai Ma, thank you so much.